Ladies and gentlemen, today we're diving deep into something that can profoundly shift the trajectory of your life. It's something that holds many of us back from our true potential. It's a force that can limit the depth of our relationships, the impact we make, and the way we experience the world around us. What is this force? It's narcissism. And I'm here to tell you that you can overcome it. You can break free from the chains that keep you trapped in a cycle of self-absorption, and you can rise to the level of greatness you were always meant to reach. Narcissism is a mask we wear, a shield that protects us from the fear of being vulnerable. But beneath that mask, there's a world of possibility, of connection, and of authentic power waiting for you. It's time to shed the mask and tap into the most powerful version of yourself. The first step in overcoming narcissism is to face the truth head on, to look in the mirror and say, I have been living in a way that's not aligned with who I truly am or who I want to be. This is where the breakthrough begins, not in denial, not in excuses, but in pure, unfiltered honesty with yourself. When we acknowledge the truth, we take the first step toward freedom. We step out of the shadows of self-deception and into the light of self-awareness. You cannot change what you refuse to see. And if you're caught in the trap of narcissism, it's often because you've been hiding from the truth, hiding behind a mask of perfection, hiding behind a shield of pride, hiding behind the constant need for validation. But the truth is, you can't grow if you don't admit what's holding you back. Think about this. How many times have you justified your actions, your words, your behaviors, because deep down you were afraid of facing the truth? How many times have you manipulated situations, controlled people, or sought attention because at your core, you were afraid that without these things, you wouldn't matter? That's the ego in control, and ego loves to hide the truth. Now, I want you to think bigger. I want you to think about the impact your narcissistic behavior has had, not just on you, but on everyone around you. Think about the relationships that have suffered, the opportunities that have passed you by, the emotional walls you built, and the moments of joy that were stolen because you couldn't be present in the real world because you were trapped in your own mind. Facing the truth is powerful because once you see it clearly, you can begin to shift it. It's the awareness of where you are that ignites the energy to move in a different direction. This isn't just about knowing intellectually, it's about feeling it in your gut and heart. The truth doesn't live in the abstract, it's visceral, it's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is the sign that change is on the way. When you acknowledge the truth, you unlock the ability to stop pretending. You stop pretending to be someone you're not. You stop pretending that everything is okay when you know it's not. You stop pretending that you don't care about the opinions of others when in fact it's driving you into a frenzy. You stop pretending that your actions don't have consequences because now you know they do. And let's be real for a moment. Narcissism is not something that only impacts you, it impacts the people around you. It impacts your family, your friends, your colleagues, your team. It's a self-perpetuating cycle. The more you crave attention and validation, the more you push others over you feel elated. This is why acknowledging the truth isn't just about you, it's about the people you love, the people who are counting on you to show up as the real, authentic you. So when you look into that mirror, what do you see? Are you willing to call yourself out and admit where you've been wrong? Are you willing to get real about the behaviors that have kept you stuck in a cycle of self-centeredness? It's time to stop living in denial. It's time to stop hiding behind the ego. It's time to take responsibility and say, I own this. I am going to change. I am committed to becoming the best version of myself. Because when you acknowledge the truth, you take back your power. You stop being a victim of your own ego. You stop letting the past dictate your future. And once you do that, once you have that moment of clarity, everything starts to shift. You move from a place of weakness to a place of strength. You move from insecurity to confidence. And you start attracting the things that truly matter, genuine relationships, real success in a life that's aligned with your highest purpose. So remember, if you want to overcome narcissism, if you want to free yourself from the chains of self-absorption, the first thing you need to do is to acknowledge the truth. See it, feel it, own it, and watch how the transformation begins. If you want to break free from the grip of narcissism, if you want to unlock the true power that resides within you, there's one shift you absolutely must make. Shift your focus from me to we. We live in a world that constantly reinforces the me mentality, the hustle for individual success, the drive for personal recognition, the constant measuring of our worth by how much we've achieved or accumulated. But let me tell you something right now, true fulfillment doesn't come from accumulating more for yourself. It comes from making a positive impact on others. It comes from serving, from contributing, from shifting your perspective from the narrow lens of self-interest to the vast horizon of collective purpose. The ego loves to be fed. It loves to convince you that everything is about you, that your desires, your needs, your dreams are the center of the universe. But I'm here to tell you, if you want to step into your greatest power, you have to break free from that illusion. Life isn't about accumulating praise or looking out for yourself at the expense of others. It's about creating a world of connection, collaboration, and contribution. When you focus on me, you create distance. You create barriers between you and the people around you because you're constantly measuring everything through your own lens. The moment you shift your focus to we, you break down those barriers. You begin to see others not as competitors or obstacles, but as allies in a larger mission. You start realizing that their success isn't a threat to yours. It's an opportunity for growth, for expansion, and for creating something bigger than yourself. You've heard the saying, together we rise. That's not just a nice little catchphrase, it's a law of life. Think about it. The most successful and impactful people in history didn't make it alone. Every single one of them achieved greatness by working with others, by building communities, by focusing on the collective goal. Whether it was a business, a movement, or a cause, they understood that success is always a team effort. Now let's take this a step further. If you're trapped in the me mindset, you're focused on what you can get. But when you shift to we, you focus on what you can give. You ask yourself, how can I serve the people around me? How can I elevate my team? How can I contribute to the success of those I care about and the causes I believe in? The moment you begin thinking in terms of service, the game changes. You become a leader not because you want to dominate, but because you have something valuable to offer. Think about your relationships. When you're caught in the grip of narcissism, everything feels transactional. You constantly measure how people are adding value to you. But when you shift your focus to we, you ask, how can I help? How can I support? How can I show up for those I love and care about without expecting anything in return? You'll be amazed at how much deeper your relationships become when you stop seeing people as tools for your own gain and start seeing them as partners in the journey. But here's the real secret to this shift. When you make the shift from me to we, you actually receive more than you ever could by focusing solely on yourself. When you start showing up for others, when you begin contributing to their growth and success, you naturally attract more of the same into your life. The universe rewards givers. The more you serve, the more abundance flows into your life. This isn't just about money or material wealth. It's about true, meaningful connections. It's about opportunities that come from having a reputation as someone who adds value. And it's about inner fulfillment that no amount of self-centered striving can ever bring. I want you to think about this for a moment. What would happen if you completely shifted your mindset today? What would happen if you stopped worrying about your own recognition and started focusing on how you could uplift the people around you? What if you woke up every day thinking, how can I help the people in my life succeed? How can I make a difference in my community? How can I create a ripple of positivity that will spread out and impact others in ways I might never see, but that will create lasting change? Imagine the kind of world we would live in if more people did that. Imagine a world where the me mentality was replaced by a we mentality, where every person you met was thinking about how they could contribute to the greater good, where success wasn't defined by what you take, but by what you give. Now, I'm not saying that your needs, your goals, or your aspirations don't matter. They absolutely do. But when you focus on me, you're limiting yourself. You're playing a small game. But when you focus on we, you're playing in the big leagues. You're stepping into a place of limitless potential, because the more you lift others up, the higher you rise. So today, make the decision to shift. Stop looking at the world through the lens of scarcity and start looking at it through the lens of abundance. Instead of asking, what can I get? Ask, how can I help? Instead of competing with others, collaborate. Instead of seeking validation, give value. And watch as the world opens up in ways you never thought possible. This is your invitation to transcend the small, limited view of life and step into the grand, expansive vision of we. When you make this shift, everything changes: your relationships, your career, your impact on the world, and your ability to create lasting joy and fulfillment. It's time to stop living for yourself. It's time to live for something greater. Shift your focus from me to we and watch how your life transforms. If you want to truly break free from the grip of narcissism, if you want to step into your highest potential and create real deep connections in this world, you must cultivate empathy. I'm talking about a level of empathy that transcends mere sympathy, a level where you are able to feel what others are feeling, to step into their world, to understand their pain, their joy, their struggles, And their victories not just with your mind, but with your heart. Empathy is the bridge that connects us to each other in a profound way, and it is the antidote to narcissism. It's the cure that allows you to turn your attention outward and start seeing the world through the eyes of those around you. Narcissism thrives when we are trapped in the bubble of our own experience, locked into our own narrow perspective. But when you cultivate empathy, you shatter that bubble. You tear down the walls of isolation that keep you separate from the people around you. Empathy allows you to break free from the constraints of self-centeredness and opens your heart to the vast richness of human experience. It is only when you stop looking at life through your own lens and start seeing through the eyes of others that you will truly experience the depth and beauty of connection. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you really heard someone? I don't mean just listening to their words. Anyone can do that. I mean hearing them in a way that makes them feel understood. Most of us, when we listen, we're listening to respond. We're not truly listening to understand. We're listening to figure out how we can relate it back to our own lives, how we can connect it to our own experience. But empathy asks you to listen in a different way. It asks you to quiet your own inner monologue and truly absorb what the other person is saying. It asks you to put aside your judgments, your assumptions, and your own ego and to simply be present with the other person. When you listen with empathy, you're no longer just hearing the surface level of what someone is saying. You're tuning into their emotions, their fears, their desires. You're picking up on the unspoken words, the things that are between the lines. And here's the magic. When people feel truly heard, truly understood, it creates a bond. It builds trust. It creates a connection that goes beyond surface level interaction. This is how you move from transactional relationships to transformative relationships. This is how you move from living a life that's all about me to living a life that's about us. Empathy is about taking yourself out of the equation. It's about seeing people for who they truly are, beyond their actions, beyond their mistakes, beyond their flaws. It's about understanding that every person you meet is carrying a story, a history, a set of experiences that have shaped who they are. And just like you, they have a deep desire to be seen, to be heard, to be valued. It's only when you truly acknowledge their humanity that you can move beyond the walls that narcissism builds. And here's something important you need to understand. Empathy isn't just about being nice or feeling sorry for someone. It's not about giving people pity or trying to fix them. Empathy is about connecting with their emotions, not necessarily solving their problems. It's about standing with them in their pain and in their joy and letting them know that they are not alone. This is where true power lies. Because when you offer someone empathy, you're not just offering them a listening ear, you're offering them the gift of your presence. And that presence can be the catalyst for healing, growth, and transformation. I want you to think about the last time someone really saw you. When was the last time someone truly understood what you were going through? Think about how that made you feel. How powerful is it when someone simply takes the time to show that they care? When someone looks at you and for a moment, the whole world stops because they're fully present with you, without judgment, without distraction. That feeling, that moment of connection is what empathy creates. And the more you give it, the more you experience it in return. Now, let's get really real. In order to cultivate empathy, you have to let go of judgment. You have to stop looking at the world and the people in it as other or less than. This is the trap narcissism loves to set, where we see people as tools to be used or obstacles to our goals or simply as backgrounds in the story of our own lives. But the truth is, every person you encounter is a mirror. They reflect back parts of you, parts you may not even see yet. When you allow yourself to truly empathize with someone, you expand your capacity for understanding, for love, for connection, and for growth. Empathy also requires vulnerability. You can't connect with others at a deep level if you're hiding behind your walls. If you're constantly putting on a mask, vulnerability opens the door to empathy. It allows you to share your true self and to be open to others' truths. When you show vulnerability, you give others permission to do the same. This creates a cycle of trust, openness, and mutual understanding that can break down even the toughest barriers. And let's be clear, empathy isn't just about connecting with people you agree with or people who share your values. That's easy. It's about reaching across the divide and understanding someone even when their views, their experiences, and their actions are different from yours. It's about recognizing that their pain, their fear, their joy, their humanity is just as real as yours. When you can empathize with someone, even in the midst of disagreement or conflict, you elevate the conversation. You stop seeing them as an adversary, and instead you see them as a fellow human being, someone worthy of respect, compassion, and understanding. So I challenge you, start today. Start by really listening to the people in your life, not with the intention to fix them or to respond with your own agenda, but to truly understand them. Ask yourself, what is this person feeling right now? What is driving their behavior? What is their story and how can I connect with it? When you start thinking like this, you will begin to experience the world in a completely different way. You will stop viewing people through the lens of narcissism and start seeing them through the lens of empathy. And that one shift will change the way you relate to everyone you meet. Because when you cultivate empathy, you don't just change the way you interact with others. You change the way you see the world. You stop living in isolation and you start living in connection. You stop living in fear and you start living in love. And that, my friends, is when the magic happens. If you want to break free from the shackles of narcissism and step into a life of true empowerment, you need to let go of validation. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive, especially in a world that's constantly reinforcing the need for approval, likes, and praise. But here's the truth: validation from others is temporary. It's fleeting. It's an external source that can never truly satisfy the internal hunger for significance that lives within you. If you continue to seek validation from the outside, you will always be dependent on others for your sense of self-worth. You'll be trapped in a cycle where your happiness and confidence rise and fall based on the opinions of others. And think about it for a moment. How often do you seek approval? How many times a day do you check your social media to see how many likes or comments you've received? How many times have you adjusted your actions, your words, or your appearance just to fit in order to get someone to say you're doing a great job? This is the reality for most people today, and it's exhausting. Because the truth is, validation is a moving target. What satisfies you today will not satisfy you tomorrow. You will always need more. You'll always be chasing the next compliment, the next recognition, the next pat on the back. Now, let's break this down. Why do we seek validation in the first place? It's because at some level we are trying to fill a void. We're trying to convince ourselves that we matter, that we're worthy, that we are enough. But here's the catch: no one else can fill that void. No amount of external validation can ever truly heal the internal doubts and insecurities that lie within you. You cannot build your identity on the shifting sands of other people's opinions. You can only build it on the solid foundation of your own self-worth. So how do you let go of validation? It starts with knowing who you are. It starts with recognizing that your worth is not determined by the approval of others, but by the fact that you are already whole. You are already enough. You don't need to prove anything to anyone because your value is intrinsic, not earned. It's not dependent on how many people like you, follow you, or praise you. It's dependent on the fact that you are a human being with unique talents, gifts, and a purpose that is greater than anything anyone else can ever define for you. I want you to hear me on this. You are not what others think of you. You are not the sum of their opinions, their judgments, or their feedback. And if you continue to tie your self-worth to what others think, you will always be subject to their whims, their moods, and their biases. You will be at their mercy. Your power will always be in their hands, and that is not a way to live. Think about this. When you stop seeking validation, you free yourself from the prison of comparison. Narcissism thrives on comparison. It thrives on the need to measure ourselves against others, to one-up, to compete. But when you let go of the need for validation, you no longer need to compare yourself to anyone. You become the benchmark for your own success. You stop worrying about who's ahead of you, who's doing better, who's getting more praise or recognition. You start focusing on your own growth, your own path, and your own unique contribution to the world. You start to operate from a place of abundance, not scarcity. You understand that there's room for everyone to succeed, and the only person you need to compete with is the person you were yesterday. Here's something powerful to consider. The more you seek validation, the more you shrink. The more you look outside of yourself for approval, the more you give away your power, and the smaller you become. But when you stop seeking validation and instead focus on self-empowerment, you expand. You start living with conviction. You start living from a place of internal strength. You stop being swayed by the opinions of others and start trusting your own instincts, your own judgment, and your own inner compass. That's when the magic happens. Now, this isn't to say that feedback and support from others aren't valuable. They absolutely are. But when you let go of needing validation, you are able to receive feedback with an open mind, not as a means of confirming your worth, but as an opportunity to grow and improve. You can listen to feedback without attaching your identity to it. You can hear praise without feeling like you need to constantly chase more. You can take criticism without letting it crush your spirit because you are grounded in your own worth. Imagine living a life where you no longer care about what people think of you. Imagine living with the freedom of knowing that your worth is already inherent and that you don't need anyone's permission to be your true self. Imagine how much energy you could reclaim if you stopped looking for constant approval. Imagine how much more present you could be with the people you care about, how much more creative you could be in your work, how much more powerful you could be in your life if you didn't feel the need to prove yourself to anyone. This is the power of letting go of validation. It frees you from the trap of seeking approval. It helps you step into your greatness. It helps you focus on what truly matters, the impact you're making, the person you're becoming, and the life you're creating. When you stop seeking validation from others, you become the source of your own validation. You stop living for the applause and start living for your own growth, your own fulfillment, and your own truth. So ask yourself, are you ready to let go of the need for validation? Are you ready to step into your power and live as the person you were always meant to be without needing anyone's permission? The moment you let go of validation, you unlock a whole new level of freedom. You unlock the door to living authentically, to living with purpose, and to living with a sense of fulfillment that doesn't depend on anyone else but you. This is your time. Take back your power. Let go of validation. Watch your life transform. If you want to step into your fullest potential, if you want to break free from the grip of narcissism and experience true connection with others, you must embrace vulnerability. I'm talking about the courage to show up as your authentic self, to let down the walls you built to protect yourself, and to let others see the real you, the raw, unfiltered version of who you are. Because here's the truth, vulnerability is not a weakness. It is your greatest strength. Most people believe vulnerability is something to fear. They believe that if they show their true selves, if they let others see their flaws, their struggles, or their imperfections, they will be rejected, judged, or abandoned. So they hide behind masks. They put on a facade. Success is an invulnerability, thinking that if they can just present the perfect image to the world, they will finally feel worthy, loved, and accepted. But here's what I'm here to tell you today. You are not your mask. Your true power lies not in hiding your wounds, but in showing up with them, in owning your struggles, and in being willing to be real with the world. When you embrace vulnerability, you free yourself. You stop pretending to be someone you're not. You stop performing for others, trying to gain their approval, trying to look like you have it all together. You give yourself permission to be human, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. And that, my friend, is the most liberating thing you can ever do. It's the key to unlocking your deepest, most authentic life. Let me tell you something. The people who make the biggest impact in this world, the ones who lead with power and authenticity, are the ones who are willing to be vulnerable. Think about it. Every great leader, every person who has moved the needle in society has done so by embracing vulnerability. They've shared their struggles, their failures, and their pain, and in doing so, they've given others permission to do the same. They've shown that true strength doesn't come from pretending to be invincible. It comes from being willing to stand in your truth, no matter what it looks like. But here's the kicker. Vulnerability is not about weakness. It's not about being soft or needy. It's about courage. It's about choosing to step into the unknown, to take the risk of being seen, of being real, even when you don't know what the outcome will be. It's about letting go of the need for control and surrendering to the process of growth. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you give others the opportunity to connect with you on a deeper level. You open the door to true intimacy because people can only connect with the real you, not the version of you that you've constructed to keep everyone at arm's length. You might be thinking, but Tony, if I let down my guard, if I show my weaknesses, won't people take advantage of me? Won't they use my vulnerability against me? Let me tell you something. Yes, it's possible that some people will misunderstand you or try to take advantage of your openness. But guess what? That's a reflection of them, not you. When you embrace vulnerability, you stop seeking external validation and approval. You stop giving others the power to define your worth. You start defining it for yourself. Now let's talk about the real power of vulnerability. Vulnerability is the gateway to connection. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you invite others to do the same. You create a safe space where people feel seen, heard, and understood. This is where deep, meaningful relationships are born. Think about the people in your life who you feel most connected to. I guarantee you the ones you trust the most are the ones who have shown you their true selves, flaws and all. They've let you into their hearts. And that's the kind of connection that lasts. That's the kind of relationship that's built on authenticity, not on a facade of perfection. Here's the truth. The more you try to protect yourself from vulnerability, the more you separate yourself from others. You build walls not just around your heart, but between you and the people who could truly love, support, and elevate you. The more you shield yourself, the more isolated you become. You may think you're protecting yourself from pain or rejection, but in reality, you're closing yourself off from the very thing that can heal and uplift your true connection. So how do you embrace vulnerability? It starts with accepting yourself. You must first embrace your own imperfections. You must love yourself for who you are, flaws, mistakes, and all. When you learn to accept and love yourself, you stop needing validation from others. You stop looking for external sources of approval because you've already found it within. When you do this, you'll be able to show up in the world as your true self, unapologetically and without fear of judgment. And here's the secret: when you embrace vulnerability, you become more resilient. Vulnerability doesn't make you fragile. It doesn't make you weak. In fact, it makes you stronger than you could ever imagine. Why? Because when you're vulnerable, you face your fears, your insecurities, and your doubts head on. You don't run from them. You don't hide from them. You embrace them, and in doing so, you disarm them. You stop giving power to the things that have held you back for so long. Let me ask you, what would it look like if you embraced vulnerability in your life right now? What would it look like if you let go of the mask, let go of the need to be perfect, and simply showed up as yourself? What would it look like if you allowed yourself to be seen, not just for your strengths and accomplishments, but for your struggles, your doubts, and your humanity? Think about the impact that would have not just on your life, but on the lives of those around you. When you embrace vulnerability, you become a beacon of authenticity. You give others permission to let down their walls and step into their own truth. And when that happens, something beautiful unfolds: true connection. Embracing vulnerability is not easy. It takes courage. It takes strength. It takes a willingness to let go of the need to control every aspect of your life. But the rewards are immeasurable. You will experience deeper relationships, more meaningful connections, and a sense of peace and freedom that can only come from being true to yourself. So I challenge you, start today, take off the mask, let yourself be seen, let yourself be real, and watch as the world responds with open arms. When you embrace vulnerability, you embrace the fullness of who you are, and that is where true power lies. If you want to break free from narcissism and transform your life into one of true power, joy, and connection, you must practice gratitude and humility. These are not just nice ideas, they are the foundational principles that will shift your life in ways you can't even begin to imagine. Gratitude and humility are the keys that unlock the door to a higher state of being. And let me tell you this: gratitude and humility are not weaknesses. They are the ultimate expressions of strength. Now you might be thinking, Tony, I don't need to be humble. I've worked hard to get where I am. I deserve the recognition, the success, the attention. I get it. We all want to be acknowledged for our efforts. We all want to be seen for who we are and what we've accomplished. But here's the truth: gratitude and humility are not about downplaying your success or belittling your achievements. They're about recognizing that you didn't get here alone, that you are part of something greater than yourself, and that your journey is just one chapter in a much larger story. When you live with gratitude, you start to see the world differently. You stop focusing on what's wrong, what's missing, and what you still haven't achieved. Instead, you focus on what you have, who you are, and the abundance that already exists in your life. Gratitude is a powerful force. It shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance, from lack to fulfillment. It trains your mind to notice the positive, to appreciate the small victories, the blessings, and the lessons that life is offering you right now. And when you do this, you tap into an endless source of power. Because when you focus on what you're grateful for, you automatically raise your energy, your mood, and your vibration. You align with the flow of life, and you start to attract even more of what you desire. But here's the thing: gratitude is not something you do once in a while when things are going well. It's something you practice every single day. It's a way of living, a mindset, a way of approaching every moment, every situation, and every person in your life. The more you practice gratitude, the more you start to see the miracles all around you. You stop taking things for granted. You stop getting caught up in the small stuff, the things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of life. And you start to focus on the things that do, the people, the experiences, the moments of connection, and the opportunities for growth. Now, let's talk about humility. Humility is not about putting yourself down. It's not about pretending you're less than who you are. It's not about being passive or shrinking in the face of others. Humility is about recognizing that you are not the center of the universe. You are part of a larger whole. It's about recognizing that there is always more to learn, more to grow, and more to give. Humility is about having the courage to admit that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. It's about being open to learning from others, to receiving feedback, and to seeing the value in people, regardless of their status or position. When you practice humility, you let go of the need to prove yourself to anyone. You stop living for validation and start living for growth. You stop focusing on competition and start focusing on contribution. Humility allows you to put your ego aside, to stop measuring your worth against others, and to step into a state of true service. Because here's what happens when you embrace humility. You start to see the gifts in everyone you meet. You start to learn from their wisdom, their experiences, and their perspective. You stop thinking you have all the answers, and you become a student of life, forever curious, forever growing, forever open to what others have to offer. Humility also opens you up to the power of connection. When you humble yourself, you recognize that everyone has something valuable to offer. No one is beneath you. No one is less than you. You start to see that every person has a unique experience, a unique perspective, and unique strengths. And when you approach people from a place of humility, you create an environment of trust, respect, and collaboration. You stop seeing people as obstacles or competitors, and you start seeing them as partners, as fellow travelers on the journey of life. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly expressed gratitude? Not just a quick thank you or a polite gesture, but a deep, heartfelt expression of appreciation for everything you have, your health, your family, your opportunities, the lessons you've learned, the people who've supported you along the way. Gratitude is a force multiplier. The more you express it, the more you activate the law of attraction in your life. You start to attract more of what you focus on. When you focus on gratitude, you naturally invite more blessings into your life. You begin to realize that you don't need to chase success. Success is drawn to you when you live with a heart full of appreciation for what you already have. And when you combine gratitude with humility, something extraordinary happens. You become a magnet for greatness. You stop competing with others and you start competing with yourself, becoming a better version of yourself every day. You stop measuring your success by the standards of the world and start measuring it by your own growth, your own values, and your own impact. Humility allows you to celebrate the success of others without feeling threatened because you understand that there's enough success to go around for everyone. You stop living in a world of comparison and start living in a world of contribution. Gratitude and humility also deepen your relationships. When you are truly grateful for the people in your life, when you take the time to acknowledge their contributions, their love, and their support, you create a bond that goes beyond the surface. You build trust, you build connection, you build a foundation of mutual respect. And when you practice humility, you let go of the need to be perfect, and you allow others to see your vulnerabilities, your flaws, and your struggles. This is where deep intimacy is formed. This is where true love and respect are born. Here's the truth. When you live with gratitude and humility, you stop chasing external validation. You stop looking for recognition from the world. Instead, you start living in alignment with your true self. You start living from a place of purpose, of service, of contribution, and of deep connection. The ego-driven pursuit of success and status falls away, and you realize that the real success is in the giving of your heart, your time, your energy, your gifts. The more you give, the more you receive. So how can you start practicing gratitude and humility today? Start by waking up every morning and taking a moment to reflect on everything you are grateful for. Not just the big things, the house, the car, the career, but the small things, the air in your lungs, the warmth of your bed, the people in your life who love you. Express that gratitude with your words, your actions, and your energy. And as you go through your day, practice humility by acknowledging the value in others. Recognize that everyone you meet has something valuable to offer and treat them with the respect they deserve. When you practice gratitude and humility, you will shift your life in ways you can't even imagine. You will attract more abundance, more connection, and more success. You will feel more at peace, more fulfilled, and more alive. And you will know deep in your soul that you are living the life you were always meant to live. If you want to step into your full potential and live a life that truly matters, you must make a commitment to continuous growth. This is the key to breaking free from the limitations of narcissism and unlocking a life of constant transformation and progress. Here's the truth. If you're not growing, you're dying. Life is never static. It's either moving forward or moving backward. And the choice is yours. You must make the decision every day to be better than you were yesterday. Let's talk about this for a moment. Growth is not just a one-time event. It's not about going to a seminar, reading a book, or having one breakthrough and thinking, that's it, I've arrived. No, growth is a lifelong process. It's about embracing the journey of becoming the best version of yourself. It's about showing up every single day, no matter how you feel, no matter what obstacles you face, and making the conscious decision to get 1% better every single day. Why is continuous growth so critical? Because the world is constantly changing. What worked yesterday might not work today. The person you were 5 years ago is not the person you need to be today. You cannot rely on past achievements or on yesterday's strategies to solve today's challenges. You need to be evolving, expanding, and adapting. The moment you stop growing is the moment you start stagnating. And stagnation, my friend, is the enemy of greatness. Let me ask you this. Are you committed to getting better every single day? Are you willing to let go of your past successes and achievements and continue to push the boundaries of what you're capable of? When you commit to growth, you embrace the idea that there is always more to learn, always more to discover, always more to become. You stop being satisfied with where you are, and instead you begin to stretch toward the future, toward a new version of yourself that's even more powerful, even more effective, and even more impactful than the person you are right now. This kind of commitment to growth requires you to get comfortable with discomfort. Growth doesn't happen when you're sitting in your comfort zone watching Netflix and relaxing. Growth happens when you push yourself to step into the unknown, to face the fears, doubts, and challenges that are standing in your way. Growth requires courage. It requires you to look at the obstacles in your life and say, I'm not going to let you stop me. I'm going to keep going no matter what. When you commit to continuous growth, you stop seeing failures as roadblocks and start seeing them as feedback. You begin to see every setback as a lesson. You begin to understand that every challenge you face is an opportunity to learn and become stronger. And when you look at life this way, you no longer fear failure because you know it's an inevitable part of the process. You know that every time you fail, you're one step closer to success. And that mindset, that belief is what propels you forward. Continuous growth also means being willing to unlearn what no longer serves you. It means letting go of old beliefs, habits, and patterns that are holding you back. It means being willing to change your mind, to reevaluate your strategies, and to adapt to new information. The person you were yesterday doesn't have all the answers, and you must remain open to the idea that there is always a better way. Continuous growth demands that you let go of the need to be right all the time and instead focus on getting better, learning more, and expanding your understanding of the world around you. Here's the truth. You can never become the person you're meant to be without growth. It's impossible. The person who has achieved extraordinary success is not the same person who started the journey. They've evolved, adapted, and grown through every challenge they've faced. The secret to success, the secret to greatness, is in the decision to commit to growth every single day. And I'm not talking about surface level growth. I'm talking about deep, meaningful, transformative growth. The kind of growth that changes you at the core. The kind of growth that makes you question who you were yesterday and forces you to become the person you need to be today. And let me tell you something else. When you commit to continuous growth, you unlock the ability to give back in ways you never imagined. As you grow, you accumulate wisdom, experience, and knowledge. And when you commit to passing that wisdom on to others, you become a force for positive change in the world. Growth is not just about you. It's about what you can give, how you can serve, and how you can help others grow as well. The more you grow, the more people you can impact. The more you grow, the more you can contribute to the world around you. But here's the challenge. Growth isn't always easy. In fact, it's rarely easy. There will be times when you want to quit. There will be times when you feel like giving up, when you feel like you've hit a wall. But those are the times when growth is happening the most. Those are the moments when you need to dig deep. Lean into the discomfort and keep pushing forward. Because growth never happens without resistance. The stronger the resistance, the greater the potential for growth. Let me remind you, you are not meant to be average. You are not meant to settle for mediocrity. You are capable of extraordinary things, but only if you commit to the journey of growth. You must be relentless. You must be hungry for progress. You must be willing to put in the work, to face the discomfort, and to take the steps, no matter how small, toward becoming the person you are destined to be. When you commit to continuous growth, you unlock your full potential. You realize that you have the power to transform your life, to change your reality, and to create a future that is beyond your wildest dreams. But you have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to embrace the discomfort, to challenge yourself, to learn new things, and to keep going no matter what. This commitment to growth also requires you to surround yourself with the right people. You cannot grow to your fullest potential if you are surrounded by people who are stuck in their comfort zones, people who are not committed to growth. You must surround yourself with individuals who will challenge you, who will hold you accountable, and who will support you as you push beyond your limits. This is why your environment is so critical. The people you spend the most time with will influence your growth more than you realize. So choose wisely. Choose people who inspire you, people who are committed to their own growth, and people who will elevate you to new heights. Every day you must ask yourself, am I growing today? Am I learning something new? Am I getting 1% better? Am I challenging myself to break through my limits? Am I taking action, even when it feels uncomfortable or difficult? Because when you commit to continuous growth, you create momentum. And momentum is what propels you toward your goals. It is the force that drives you, even when the road is tough, even when the challenges seem insurmountable. Here's what I want you to remember. The best version of yourself is not a destination, it's a journey. It's something you must strive toward every single day. The moment you stop growing, you stop living. So make the commitment today to grow, to expand, and to become the person you were always meant to be. Your future self will thank you. You've heard the keynotes. You felt the power of understanding, of breaking free from the limitations that narcissism imposes on you. But none of these ideas mean anything unless you put them into action. And to do that, you must commit. Commit to remembering who you really are, to acknowledging the truth of your past, and to shifting from a mindset of me to one of we. Cultivate empathy in every interaction and learn to let go of the validation you've been clinging to for so long. Embrace vulnerability as a tool for authentic connection and practice gratitude and humility, knowing they are the foundational qualities of a truly empowered life. But none of this matters if you aren't constantly growing. You see, growth is the key to everything. It's the engine that powers transformation, the bridge that connects where you are to where you're meant to be. Growth isn't just a choice, it's a necessity. It's a daily commitment to getting better, to learning, to evolving, and to pushing through the discomfort and obstacles that life throws your way. It's about always being willing to become the next level of yourself. You are a masterpiece in progress. You are not defined by your past, by your ego, or by the fleeting validations of the world around you. You are defined by your ability to grow, to challenge yourself, to learn, and to make a difference in the world. The person you're meant to become is already inside of you, waiting to be unleashed. So, make that commitment today. Commit to remembering, to growing, to embracing change, and to living your life with a sense of purpose and connection that goes beyond yourself. Every day is an opportunity to take a step forward, to become more, to do more, and to be more for yourself and for others. The only way to truly overcome narcissism and live a life of freedom, purpose, and impact is through continuous growth, relentless self-awareness, and a willingness to put others before yourself. That is where true power lies, and that's the life you're meant to live. So step forward, commit to your continuous growth. The best version of you is waiting, and that version will change the world.